Folks, this is exactly what I've been talking about in regard to the iPad Pro using full desktop applications or even a full desktop operating system. What a slap in the face. And I never would have imagined in a million years that it would be Microsoft to have the vision to go forward with something like this before Apple on their own device. I'm really speechless, but I'm gonna try and gather my thoughts here. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Geek Show, where we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. So I read on an article from 9to5Mac that Microsoft is working on a version of Windows called Windows 365, and this is going to run in a web browser, but it is compatible with iPad, meaning that this will be the first fully fledged desktop operating system that can run on the iPad. This is exactly what Steve Jobs was saying. If you don't cannibalize your products, someone else will, and Windows has the vision to do it. Now, to clarify, this is not running on the M1. This is a virtual machine that is compatible with any device that can pretty much open up a web browser, and that certainly is the iPad. You can configure these devices with up to 512 gigabytes of storage and up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it actually will probably be weaker, honestly, than the M1 iPad. But it will run a fully fledged desktop operating system. You know, I wasn't even asking for that from Apple. I was just asking for Mac applications like Logic, Final Cut, you know, all those apps to be ported over to the iPad. And Windows went and blew everything out of the water and really is gonna innovate here, I think, with a lot of iPad users, bringing the full desktop operating system to iPad. That is insane. And honestly, I haven't used Windows in like 15 years. I was a preteen back when I was using Windows. I've been sold out Mac, not even asking a question, not even looking back. But for the first time in all that time, I will definitely be checking out Windows 11 on iPad. Because listen, iPad OS is great and everything, but let's not kid ourselves. And I say this as an Apple fanboy, it does not compare in terms of functionality to a fully fledged desktop operating system like Mac OS or Windows. Now, iPad OS is more intuitive, I think. The user interface is more forward thinking, but from professional applications to gaming, iPad OS just, it can't hang with Mac OS and Windows. Guys, this is what I was talking about. I cannot believe that Apple just sat there knowing what the fans wanted, knowing they had the ability to do it, and just decided not to do it. And it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when somebody was going to beat them at the game that they literally created. They put the M1 in the iPad Pro. They said the power of the Mac stolen for iPad. They said that in an advertisement. They created all this hype. They disappointed with WWDC. And now Windows is going to take advantage of all those users who want more power out of their iPad Pros, who want more functionality, different applications that only run on desktop for their iPad. I never would have thought that Windows would finesse a move like this on Apple. Now, the release date for this is August 2nd, 2021. So we literally only have a few weeks to wait until this is in the hands of iPad users, and I definitely recommend it. I'm not a Windows user, but I mean, you'd have to be kidding yourself not to go ahead and try out something like this on the iPad. I think it will expand functionality like we've never seen on the iPad. And this is something that would make you want to go and get the M1 iPad, even though it's a virtual machine. So maybe I'll take that back. We'll see how the performance is on older iPads. I have my third generation iPad Pro here. So we'll see how the performance is, but it's an instant boot operating system, so there's no wait times and stuff like that. It's everything that people wanted. So Microsoft won. They beat Apple to the punch with this. The question now is, how will Apple respond? They can respond one of two ways, I believe. But before I talk about that, if you watch the Geek Show, you know that I really only collaborate and work with brands that that I really do believe in, and I love their products and I use their products. And when it comes to protecting your iPad screen, there is nothing better that I have found than PaperLike. And I want to shout them out for sponsoring this video. PaperLike, it really is all in the name. They give you a perfectly paper-like grain screen protector for your iPad that is awesome for writing and drawing. I've loved it as a student for doing assignments and stuff like that, and I don't have to print out paper, but I can actually write. And they've managed to do this while having literally, I can't discern any loss in clarity, which is awesome for watching movies and stuff like that. If you look at the XDR display, the 32-inch, the big cousin to the XDR display on the M1 iPad, for instance, they have an option on that bigger model for nano textured glass, and that's basically an anti-reflective matte finish on the glass. But there's no version of that. There's no option for that on the M1 iPad Pro with XDR display. So where do you turn? PaperLike. It's an even unforeseen benefit of having PaperLike is it offers that anti-reflective surface while still functioning as writing paper, and with, like I said, I haven't discerned any loss in clarity at all. So I truly do love the product. Thank you to PaperLike once again for sponsoring the video, and if you want to get your hands on some PaperLike, of course my link is down in the description below, and you'll thank me later for having an awesome anti-reflective writable surface on your iPad Pro that you can now use with Windows 11. That's going to be a nice combo. So Apple has to respond to this one of two ways. I think the absolute worst response they could do would be some sort of way to block it from running or working on iPad, because that would really show that they don't care what the users want and they want to really shove this iPad OS system down people's throats, when I think clearly a lot of people would rather choose maybe Windows 11 over iPad OS 15. Best case scenario, they're playing catch up. They now have to, if they haven't already, and who knows, like maybe they were developing something, it just wasn't ready for WWDC. I don't want to trash Apple without knowing, but based on what we saw at WWDC, it shows that there's not even a thought of bringing not even a Mac application, let alone Mac OS, to the iPad. So this is gonna be a hit. It's gonna be popular. I mean, I'm an Apple fanboy and I'm excited for it. So I can only imagine what people who are on the fence with the operating systems or are complete Windows users and lovers of Windows, I can only imagine their response. So Apple's gonna have to develop something. Otherwise, they risk losing people, maybe even to Windows after, years and years of people using these virtual machines. They may say, they got some tablets over here. I mean, nothing's gonna touch the M1 and the iPad for a long time. But who knows? I am just still like mind numb on this news, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So leave me a comment down below. I will be chatting it up with you guys all week on this. And leave a like on the video if you agree with my sentiment. If you don't, let me know in the comments. This is wild. This is crazy news. Also, hit the subscribe button, guys, so we can grow this community. Click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granny Geek Show.